Mrs. Genevieve Leonard had lived a life of wealth, a widow for over a decade. She built her late husband's empire into a prestigious multinational corporation. Known in elite circles for her timeless elegance, she was often seen in designer couture, pearls handed down through generations, and heels that clicked against the marble floor of her mansion like the ticking of a well-kept clock. But beneath the diamonds and silk, Mrs. Leonard was a mother first, and a worried one at that. Her only son, Daniel Leonard, was the heir of everything she had built. Smart, strikingly handsome, and fiercely focused, Daniel had managed his role as CEO with remarkable discipline. But if there was one area where he remained utterly blind, it was in the company he kept, specifically the women he brought home. They were beautiful, yes, but their hearts, as his mother often lamented to herself, were as dark as a bottomless pit. There was Kyra, stunning, polished, and empty. Her interest lay solely in shopping for latest designer pieces, obsessing over her nails and frequenting spas as if her life depended on it. Not that Mrs. Leonard thought self-care was a crime, but where was the depth, the curiosity, the kindness? Then came Cassie, ethereal in appearance, with a figure sculpted like marble, but her beauty was cruel disguise. Her words were laced with venom, her tone always dismissive. She treated the maids as if they were beneath her. Once, she even ordered a housemaid to bathe her, mimicking a scene she had seen in the movie Snow White. But her bathing water weren't ordinary. Cassie bathed in oat milk, claiming it was better for her skin. Even more absurd, whenever she bathed with plain water, she demanded the used bathed water to be stored in gallons and shipped to a lab in Europe, where her DNA would be extracted to craft a soap tailored precisely to fit her. Mrs. Leonard could no longer sit idly by. She saw these women not as partners, but as ticking time bombs, pretty shells waiting to explode and ruin her son's future. And so she hatched a plan. Gone were the silk scarves and Chanel suits. In their place, thrifted clothes, simple cardigans, and plain skirts. Miss Leonard rented a modest house not far from Daniel's corporate headquarters. Then she did the unthinkable. She applied to work at her son's company as a cleaner, using a false name and forged documents. No one recognized her. After all, the staff knew of the legend of Mrs. Leonard, but few had seen her in person. Thus began her undercover mission to observe the women in Daniel's world, to see truly who cared for him, not his status. She would clean the office floors, empty trash bins, and watch from the shadows until she found a woman worthy of being her son's wife. The scent of disinfectant stung Genevieve's nose as she stepped through the employee entrance of the company. Gone was the faint perfume of lavender that once lingered on her designer scarves. Today, she wore an old cardigan that smelled faintly of mothballs, orthopedic shoes she bought at a second-hand store, and a name tag clipped to her plain blouse that read, Marie Samuel, Janitorial Services. She had built this company with her husband from a modest warehouse to an empire it was today. And now, here she stood in a plastic apron, clutching a mop handle like it was a walking stick. No one looked twice at her, and that was exactly what she wanted. First day, asked a gravely voice. Genevieve turned to find a short woman with tough eyes, already wringing out her mop into a battered blue bucket. Yes, Genevieve replied softly. She lowered her eyes and tilted her nose with just the right mix of modesty and nervousness. I am Loretta, 20 years in this place. Stick close. I will keep you from getting your hair chewed off. You got kids? She asked. Genevieve blinked. One, she said. Loretta grinned, revealing her brown teeth. They always give the moms the hardest floor. Let's hope your knees don't betray you by noon. Genevieve gave a polite chuckle, though inside, her heart panged. If only Loretta knew who she truly was. By noon, her back was already aching. She was assigned to Level 4, which housed part of the executive staff and the human resources department. From the supply closet, she caught her first glimpse of her son, Daniel Leonard. He strolled down the hallway, phone pressed to his ear, his face as handsome and serious as ever. He looked just like his father when he was 25, except sharper, more determined. His expression was unreadable, and his pace brisk. Yes, notify the PR team. I want that damage control ready before lunch, he said into the phone before disappearing into his office. Genevieve's heart ached. It had been weeks since they last spoke, and now she was reduced to picking at him from behind a janitor's cart. But she shook the emotion off. She was there on a mission. As she resumed wiping the glass door, she heard a voice, calm, soft but clear. Excuse me, ma'am. You missed a little smudge here. Genevieve turned and saw her. She had almond skin, a slight dimple on her left cheek, and wore a neatly ironed blouse and pencil skirt. Her hair was tied up in a puff, and she had no nails or false lashes. She was just simple beauty with kind eyes. Oh, thank you, dear, Genevieve said. I am Amanda. I work in HR. If anyone gives you trouble, you can always come to me, she smiled. Genevieve blinked. You are so kind. Amanda gave a small chuckle. Tell me about it. Then she leaned in and whispered, if you ever get sick of mopping, just sit by the big printer around the corner. It's broken half the time. No one would suspect a thing. That made Genevieve smile. Amanda winked and walked off. Not all encounters were so warm. As she cleaned the break room, the clacking of heels announced a new presence, sharp and cold. You missed a spot under the coffee station, said a woman with blonde hair in a navy suit. Genevieve turned slowly. The woman didn't look at her, just sipped her latte and tapped on her phone. And next time, don't leave the mop in the hall. It's a safety hazard. If someone sued this place, it will be your fault. Genevieve bit her tongue. Yes, ma'am. Miss Sanders, the woman snapped. Not ma'am. Of course, Miss Sanders, Genevieve said. Before the day was over, Genevieve learned that was Vanessa Sanders, Daniel's executive assistant. Smart, beautiful, but ruthless. Rumored to be dating Daniel unofficially, and Genevieve instantly hated her. Just before lunch, Genevieve was assigned to dust the executive conference room. As she entered quietly, she noticed the blinds were slightly ajar and the room empty. But as she wiped the long polished table, voices floated in from the hallway. So, are you free tonight? I thought we could grab dinner somewhere quiet. It was Vanessa's voice. Vanessa, we have talked about this. I don't think it's a good idea, replied Daniel. Right. You are still stuck on that your perfect wife fantasy, aren't you? You will be single till you are 50 if you keep listening to your mother, Vanessa said. Genevieve stopped mid-wipe. Don't talk about her like that, Daniel said. I'm just saying, it's not like she's ever liked any woman you have brought home, Vanessa said again. Genevieve slowly backed towards the door. She felt like a ghost hovering between the life she left behind and the one she was pretending to live. She didn't stay to hear more, but her heart was thudding. Daniel wasn't involved with Vanessa after all. Not seriously. That was good. But his tone, that was pain. She heard it clearly and noticed that he missed her, even if pride was standing between them. They were always quarreling about his choice of women, but she knew he cared for her. Back in the break room, Genevieve sat on a stool, chewing a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in a cling film. She hadn't had one in years, and it stuck to her teeth. Amanda walked in, holding a Tupperware. Mind if I join? She asked. Genevieve shook her head. Not at all. Your first day hasn't scared you off, has it? A few close calls, Genevieve smiled, but I'm tougher than I look. Amanda offered a bite of her jollof rice. Want some? She asked. I haven't had jollof rice in months, Genevieve said, surprised. My old maid used to make some. Maids? Amanda asked, arching an eyebrow playfully. What kind of life did you live, Marie? Genevieve chuckled. The kind I don't talk about anymore. They both laughed, and in that moment, Mrs. Leonard felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. As Genevieve returned to her cleaning duties, she walked past the HR department again. Through the frosted glasses, she saw Amanda talking to a man in lab coat, nodding confidently, her hands gesturing as she explained something on a laptop. She wasn't just kind, she was brilliant. Genevieve narrowed her eyes and whispered under her breath, Let's see what you are made of, Amanda. Mrs. Genevieve Leonard, still Marie Samuel to the outside world, watched like a hawk. Her sharp, observant eyes were used to board meetings, investors' pitches, and tax loopholes. Now she used them to study body language, subtle power plays in the hallway, and office gossip whispered when people thought no one was listening. On Thursday morning, while scrubbing near the hallway, she spotted Amanda again, kneeling beside a box of promotional materials, sorting branded flash drives and conference folders. Her skirt had a little tear on the hem, but Amanda didn't seem to notice or care. She smiled as she walked, humming softly to herself. Just then, the company's head of marketing, Mr. Wallace, a balding man with a permanent smirk, walked with his glasses on his nose. Mrs. Michael, he said, barely looking at her. Those folders were supposed to be delivered yesterday. Slacking off again? He asked. Amanda stood cool and collected. Actually, Mr. Wallace, the delivery was delayed because your department sent the wrong logos twice. Genevieve's eyes twitched. The calmness in Amanda's voice could have sliced through steel. Well, Wallace huffed. Next time, just fix it and don't throw blame. Noted, Amanda replied with a short nod. As he walked off, Amanda rolled her eyes and mumbled under her breath, Useless idiot. Later that day, Genevieve hatched a small plan. A test, perhaps. She bought 2 bottles of orange juice from the vending machine. One she left in the fridge, labeled Marie. The other unlabeled. She placed it on the edge of the counter. She waited in the corner of the break room, pretending to fix the mop handle. Vanessa walked in first. She looked at the bottle, opened the fridge and saw the other, and rolled her eyes. Seriously, who drinks this sugar water? She muttered before dumping the unlabeled bottle into the trash. Genevieve's jaw tightened. An hour later, Amanda walked in. Clearly exhausted, she opened the fridge, paused, saw the label, and slowly shut it without touching the bottle. Some things don't belong to you, she whispered to herself. She poured water from the dispenser instead. Genevieve nearly teared up. On Friday evening, while cleaning the HR director's office, Genevieve spotted something odd. A crumpled, opened envelope in the trash with Amanda's name on it. She hesitated, then fished it out discreetly, smoothing it on her lap beneath the desk. It was from the University of Edinburgh, a deferred admission letter. We are happy to extend your offer for our master's program in international labor policy. However, your placement will expire if not accepted by June 30th. Genevieve's brow furrowed. Amanda had been accepted into an elite master's program, but she hadn't told anyone. Why? Then she saw the notes scrawled in pencil on the back of the envelope. Talia's school fees, first and always. Talia, a sibling? Perhaps. Genevieve folded the letter and returned it to the trash where she found it, but her curiosity burned. This wasn't just a sweet girl with good manners. She was brilliant, sacrificing her future for someone else. and no one had noticed except Miss Genevieve herself. On Monday, Genevieve bumped into Vanessa near the executive elevator. "You again," Vanessa said, wrinkling her nose. "Don't they rotate you people?" "We people?" Genevieve asked, voice calm. "You know, staff, maintenance, whatever." Vanessa flicked an imaginary lint from her blazer. "Honestly, this whole building needs an upgrade, starting with the help." "Sometimes," Genevieve said evenly, "it's the help who knows everything." Vanessa stared at her, unsettled by the quiet defiance in the old woman's tone. "What did you say?" "I said, I think you missed a spot," Genevieve smiled, pointing to her lipstick smudge on her teeth. Vanessa stormed off. Genevieve allowed herself a tiny grin. That night, as Genevieve sat in her small rented apartment, eating instant noodles she cooked over her notes. Yes, she was keeping notes now, on everyone, but mostly on Amanda, and she had questions. Who was Talia? Why hadn't Amanda accepted the scholarship? Why was she working so hard for so little? More importantly, did her son even notice this woman? Because if he didn't, she was going to make sure he did. The next morning, something unexpected happened. While mopping the floor near the elevator, Genevieve accidentally stepped into a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. Daniel, speaking to a friend on the phone. "Honestly, I don't know anymore, man. Every woman I meet either wants the money or the status. There's this one girl though, Amanda, who works in HR. She's different, but mom would never approve. She would say she's too ordinary." Genevieve froze. He noticed her, but he thought she wouldn't approve. She tightened her grip on the mop and looked up at the flickering fluorescent light above her. "Oh, Daniel," she whispered, "you still don't know me at all." Mrs. Genevieve had decided Amanda wasn't just promising, she was special. But special wasn't enough. Not for Daniel. Not in a world full of charming liars and pretty opportunists. A good heart alone wouldn't survive the weight of power, money, and legacy. So Genevieve needed to be sure, and to do that, she would have to get closer to Amanda. It was Thursday, and the break room smelled faintly of burnt toast and microwaved fish. Genevieve sat at her usual corner with some akara and white bread. Across the room, Amanda stirred a bowl of instant noodles, her eyes fixed on a spreadsheet she had printed and folded like a map. "Look like you are feeding your brains more than your stomach," Genevieve said. Amanda looked up and smiled. Working lunch. The joy of HR. She walked over, carrying her noodles. "Mind if I join you again, Marie?" "Not at all, but I must warn you, I'm not exactly stimulating lunch conversation." "That's all right. I'm not hungry for conversation, just quiet." But quiet didn't last. Vanessa swept in with her usual icy elegance, phone in one hand, heels clicking like accusation on the tile. "Ugh," she said aloud. "Is that ramen?" She wrinkled her nose at Amanda. "Do HR people get paid in salt these days?" Amanda didn't flinch. "No, we just spend less on fake personalities and more on real priorities." "Excuse me," Vanessa's voice sharpened. "You heard me," Amanda replied, standing slowly. "If you have something helpful to say, great. If not, there's a microwave behind you that would probably enjoy your company more." Vanessa's mouth opened and closed. She glared at Genevieve, then spun on her heels and left. Amanda sat back down and exhaled. "Sorry, that was unprofessional." "No," Genevieve said, smiling wide. "That was a spine. Vanessa is trouble." That afternoon, the fire alarm blared. People screamed and ran out of the building. There was smoke covering the hallways, but nobody knew where it was coming from, and they didn't stay to find out. Soon, siren sounds were heard, and lights flashed, and panicked voices filled the company's building. Genevieve dropped her mop and followed the stampede outside. But as she reached the exit, she realized Amanda wasn't there. She waited for a bit for them to be sure, but after everyone was counted, two employees were missing, including Amanda. Genevieve began to cry. She didn't want anything to happen to her, but she was torn between revealing her identity and going into the building that would soon be in flames in a moment. What do you think will happen? Watch out for the next part. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you in the next one. Bye.